And we are in, ladies and gentlemen. It's a best of 3 to start off with. So let's go ahead and take a look at who's going to be spawning in the top right-hand position. Representing Team Property, ladies and gentlemen, we have none other than StarNan. And his opponent spawning in the bottom left position. I love that avatar. That's absolutely brilliant. Representing Swarmhouse. Look at that smug mug over there, ladies and gents. We have Sort of. And, oh, if that hasn't just won over a couple of fans, I don't know what will. Absolutely brilliant stuff there. So, we've got a best of 3 here, guys. It is going to be a elimination bracket here. It's a little bit unfortunate, to be honest, taking a look at the bracket, because there is an argument that these 2 players plus Morrow, 2 out of 3 of them could have been the finals here, but we actually have all 3 of these players, due to the way it worked out in their groups, in the same half of the bracket here. So that's going to produce some pretty exciting talent coming through the other half, it has to be said. And it also means we get a few epic games early on as well. StarNan, by the looks of things, is going to be going for that Nexus first on Overgrowth. He's just going to be scouting around to see if there's anything sneaky going on here from Sort of. Won't find anything. The hatch, of course, has gone down by our Zerg player here. And I think is he going to follow it up with a drone scout? No, he just actually wants to see if a probe is coming in to check out the natural, in case he's going to get pylon blocked at a potential third or something like that. As soon as this Overlord sees, by the way, that this Nexus has gone down, I can assure you that Sort of is going to race to take this third hatchery, because there isn't going to be any sort of aggression coming down in the early game from our Protoss opponent, and he's going to want to get ahead as quickly as possible in those economic stakes. So, not an awful lot going on at the moment, it has to be said. The spawning pool's still only a bit of the way done. We haven't got the gases taken just yet here from Sort of, so we'll wait and see what kind of tech there is. In the meantime, Gateway finishing up. I expect to see a Cybernetics core very, very shortly from StarNan here, following up with that Mothership core. And as mentioned earlier, this Overlord has spotted the Nexus is almost done already. The third base immediately goes down for our Zerg player here. And things are looking pretty hunky-dory on Overgrowth to start things off. A nice, stable game. And we've got the Cybernetics core in the anti-Reaper position, even though he's not playing a Terran. But it will, of course, help against potential Zergling run-bys and just preventing the sort of areas of access that the Zerg has inside this Protoss space. Say, for example, you had a bunch of Lings here and you force field them off or something similar. Guess what? They haven't got this avenue to run out anymore. So every little helps here as far as the Protoss is concerned. Now, we're starting the wall off here from StarNan. This could end up giving us a big clue as to what's going to start. We sometimes see Stargates, in fact, as part of this wall off as well, so we'll be keeping an eye on what he wants to be spending his tech on in just a little bit. In the meantime, of course, Sort of, now that he's gotten those 3 hatcheries up, I love that. Don't you guys love that? I love that. Now we've got these 3 hatcheries up. He wants to just drone up and get up to a healthy economy ASAP, so he can reach that point as early as possible in the game. Where you have that lovely situation where Zergs can constantly tech swap and try and get as much damage done as possible. This Zealot is trying to micro against these Lings. Will be able to pick off one. The Stalker should be able to pick off the other. Ooh, managing to sneak in there, and will in fact see the Stargate next to the Cybernetics core. So that's a nice little bit of useful information there from Sort of. And he's going to be able to respond as appropriate. Zergling speed has just started, so he wants to make sure he gets that map control, gaining those units on the ground early on to ensure that his opponent doesn't have free reign over the center of the map. Also helps against, for example, a 1 Zealot, 1 Stalker harass coming out a little bit later if he needed to, because he'll be able to surround those units and try and pick them off with speed. Now we've got the Mothership core out now, but only 1 extra gateway and a forge coming down from StarNan. So this tells me he isn't looking to attack super early here. He actually just wants to get some units out and maybe aim for something like a +1 or a +2 timing. We've got the first Oracle coming out from StarNan. We'll see what happens as it moves out across the center of the map here. But already, thanks to scouting that Stargate a little bit earlier on, we've got Spore Crawlers going down inside the main base. None in the natural yet. Do we have one in the third? We don't, but we do have 2 Queens. And 2 queens is pretty darn useful. This Ling as well spots the Oracle coming by, so both of these queens know exactly what to expect right now. Here comes the Oracle, there go the queens, and well, the Oracle's total kill count, does that even count as a kill? Yes, it does it! That creep tumor counts as a kill, ladies and gentlemen, so you learn something new every day. He's now moving into the natural expansion. There is a single queen here, but it looks like a couple of drones are going to get roasted. It's a grand total of 3 drones, and that Oracle is so lucky to be alive right now. That is not something that paid for itself yet. It's got 4 kills at the moment. One of them is a creep tumor. So only 3 workers killed so far this game by our Protoss player. But he has kept the Oracle alive, and he's going to be able to use it again a little bit later on in the game. Now, more gateways are coming down here from StarNan, but we've only got actually a 3rd one coming down from him before he goes up to Twilight Council. So he started off with a Stargate, he's gone into that Forge, which is researching that +1 as predicted earlier, and we're going into the Twilight Council as well. This is an awful lot of tech coming out from StarNan right now. And we'll look to see what his plan is going to be. It means that his army size, frankly, isn't going to be that big for now. And Sortov, with these Lings, as we mentioned earlier, thanks to that Zergling speed, is going to have just pure free reign over the middle of the map. And it's also going to make it a little bit difficult for StarNan to take a 3rd base. He's invested an awful lot in this tech. And he doesn't necessarily have the resources to comfortably hold that right now. I mean, look at this. These are just sentries and a single stalker. These Lings might not be able to take them on completely, but I think a production wave might be able to force a cancel at the 3rd if Sortov wishes to go down that route right now. And he's got some roaches in production now. Glial Reconstitution is on the way, and +1 armor is on the way for him as well. Now, I don't think he's going to wait for that to finish, but I do think he could make a couple of roaches and sort of move across and just try and pick at this 3rd base and see if he can't force a cancel. It's always worth giving it a go. It does look like, though, he's going to be spending his resources instead, moving into a 4th base location. The Oracle has come in for a round 2 and has gone up to 7 kills, so it looks like we have 6 drones killed this game at the moment. Let's just confirm that. We do indeed. And Overseer is going to come back into the main base. We'll spot that the Twilight Council is researching, and I'm going to guess he thinks it's not charge. So those Blink Stalkers are going to be out for StarNan relatively soon. No pressure against the 3rd base because, again, Sortov is trying to make sure he keeps his units for a possible defense of his 4th here. So we'll keep an eye on what ends up going on here moving later on into the game. But, you know, 4 bases versus 3 isn't that bad. The Lings come in trying to pick off a little bit, but this massive warping of sentries here looks like it's just about going to be able to keep these Lings at bay. And, you know, a little bit of damage done. Hasn't killed off any additional workers. He's got a macro hatch going on back home, and he's really just trying to get his economy to exactly where it needs to be. He's at 72 drones right now, and that's a pretty sweet position to be as a Zerg player. And that is a lot of roaches that this Oracle has just seen as well. So StarNan's going to be pleased that he spotted that. Let's see what his response is. Are we basically going to be going with Blink Stalkers moving on in here? It looks like it. We've got, well, that pylon, frankly, is in a little bit of what I'd call an optimistic position. Yeah, you can force field that out, mate, but roaches have range. We do have Revelation going off on those roaches, so StarNan sees exactly where that army is. But I tell you what, with this many sentries, they must just be so vulnerable to the roaches. You can see where they are, but you're not exactly going to want not going to want to take them down any point soon. NorCraft Cup Season 2, pretty slick graphic going down in the middle of the map here. And, well, here we go. We've got Sortov and StarNan moving out now. Decent force fields to begin with, actually, on the left-hand side, so doing a pretty good job there. And Hallucinated Phoenix just going to be double-checking, possibly to see reinforcements and so on. That's a great idea because the Mutalist transition is about to come in. Where is the Spire hiding? It's hiding in the back of the 3rd base location, and I do not believe that StarNan has spotted it yet. There we go. So this Hallucinated Phoenix might spot it. No, it won't, actually, because the Spore Crawler is going to pick it apart. And, well, if he didn't know about the Mutalist before, he certainly does now. He actually picks off the Mothership Core. That could end up being very crucial to a 3rd base defense, but I think this army now is big enough to hold off these Lings and roaches. He's got enough force fields that I don't think this is really a fight that the Zerg player can take right now. And he's going up to +3 attack as well. So it's +2 attack versus 1-1 at the moment, but Sortov doesn't really have the units to do this. He's making 10 more Mutalists, though, and he's going into a very, very heavy air transition. And against a composition of units that's, you know, mainly Blink Stalkers, it's not 100% clear if he'd get an advantage against this. It only takes one clump of Mutalists to accidentally fly into a bunch of Blink Stalkers, or get into a position where a good Blink actually takes a lot of them out. Oh, excellent force field fields, and half of this army, mainly the Lings, are now going to be in a perilous position. They're on hold position now against these probes in the worker line. A lot of blood there, but it's not actually that many workers killed. It's 6 to 7 right now, and StarNan hasn't really lost any workers. He's up to 77 workers versus the 81. So this actually cost him quite a bit, to be honest, because he lost a decent number of those Lings, and I'll tell you what, he didn't actually get any workers killed. But now we have the Mutalisks coming into the main base, and here's the Blink. Is he going to be taking it on with the Mutalisks? Yes, he is. The Mutas are absolutely going to town on these Blink Stalkers, and that's because the army is split. If all of the Blink Stalkers were here, I can assure you that these Mutalisks would be thinking twice before engaging. But as it stands, SortOf actually picking off a decent number of them and supply blocking StarNan as well. The main army over here on the left-hand side, though, is going to be going into another engagement. Almost perfect force fields. He really needed one more in that gap to try and trap more units from this army, but SortOf at the moment, he's going to have to retreat. He needs to move out of these unupgraded Roaches and Lings, basically, because it doesn't look like they're doing the damage, so to speak, in the early game. And oh, if he gets this Forge, that could be huge. This Forge is so close to finishing +3. It's at half hit points. All of the shields are gone, but the Mutas are going to be forced to retreat. And we do have a situation now where the Blink Stalkers have completely regrouped, and because they've completely regrouped, the Mutas are like, well, we could pick up this upgrade, but it would be at the expense of a lot of these things. So he's now going to try and pick up a decent number of cannons and pylons going down in the main base, and that's still supply block StarNan, so SortOf actually doing a pretty good job here. And finally, we've got some more workers going down. He's trying to bait the Blink out so he can come in with these Lings. A lot more Lings this time, and they're better upgraded than they were before as well. And some Roaches in the third base, and we're going to have a split army situation coming out of here from StarNan. It looks like he's all going towards a third right now, and that's great. He's going to be able to clean this up, but the Mutas are going to do so much damage in the meantime in the main. Good force fields, keeping the Lings in there. He's saying, look, mate, if you're going to commit to this, I absolutely want to destroy it. And we have a bunch of Blink Stalkers now warding off the Mutalisks in the main, so it looks like that attack is over. What of third base, though? This is still going down. The Nexus will stay up, despite a decent number of workers killed. He's down to 58 workers versus 78 right now, and StarNan, he might be in a position to counterattack here, because this bunch of Blink Stalkers could completely negate the offensive capabilities of these Mutalisks right now. In fact, we've even got Photon Overcharge coming down right now, and yes, these Mutas are getting one-shotted by these Stalkers, so he does have to be a little bit careful with the numbers. There are 33 Mutalisks out on the map, though, so, you know, it's still a pretty sizable number, but they are being whittled down as we have this counterattack coming in, and StarNan is moving across. The 5th base location is definitely toast. There is nothing SortOf can do to sort this out. Absolutely not. And I like the Blink in, by the way, because it kills the drones before he has a chance to pull them away, and the Broodlings shouldn't be able to do too much damage. The rest of the ground army is coming in. The Mutas are going to have to join them as well, so now it's StarNan dictating the pace of the game. But, oh, good God, the Mutas are on top of the sentries, and if all of the sentries go down, that could be a bit problematic here for the ground army. Do we have a Mothership Core? Have we got a recall available? We don't. It looks like every single Stalker is going to go down here. And what is the damage? We've got 114 supply for the Protoss, 181 supply for SortOf. Yes, he lost that 5th base, but he is taking his gold behind this. It looks like the Mutas coming back is going to be enough. The gold base has to get cancelled here from StarNan as well. And at this point, I think SortOf now has a comfortable lead, because he's got 2/2 upgrades in addition to +2 with the Mutalisks as well. And yes, we've got Archons here. Good amount of splash damage to the Mutas, but he's not targeting the Mutalisks. He was targeting the Zerglings. That's not going to be enough. GG! And SortOf, ladies and gentlemen, wins game number 1 of this best of 3.